This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now, here's some blues. So what was that all about then? Well, it's Wednesday today, and Wednesdays these days are all about viewers' questions. If you have any questions that are of a guitar or music-related nature, drop me a line, jrguitartuition@gmail.com, or you can use the contact form on my website. You can see the address at the top of the screen there. It's in all the videos, and the link is down below in the description. Just give me a shout, and you never know, your question might end up in a video. One chap who did get in touch, I did name check him a couple of weeks ago on the live stream, and then he got in touch again to say he really would rather remain anonymous, hence why his name is pixelated in this email that he sent me.
Hi John, I hope you, Jackie and Dougal are all well. Following your launch of the Q&A vids, I have a question that we may have touched on before that has always confused me. If, in a blues revolving around the 1-7, 4-7 and 5-7, each chord is technically a key change, why can't the major pentatonic be played over the 4 and 5 chords, although they are in effect the 1 chord of a new key, even though the major pentatonic can be played over the 1 chord in the original key?
So a fair bit to unpack there, but what I think he's asking about, if I get the general kind of drift of it, is using major pentatonic scales in a blues setting. It is something that stumps many people for one reason or another, so I'll tell you what, here's an explanation.
Here is the explanation.
Okay, before we go any further, I just want to say that none of what I'm going to talk about here should be regarded as, quotations from a rule book. This isn't rules of what you can and can't do. This is just essentially an explanation of what does and doesn't sound pleasant and what sounds unpleasant. And we will assume that most of the time you want to avoid the things that sound unpleasant. However, in certain situations, like maybe when you're creating a very tense, dissonant sounding jazz lick, maybe you want the unpleasant. So it's not like you can't do it, it's just be aware that if you do it, it's going to sound unpleasant, or pleasant as the case may be. Right, so let's establish what key we're in here. We're basically going to do a 12-bar blues in the key of A, which means we've got the chords of A7, D7 and E7. And over those 3 chords, you can play the minor pentatonic of the 1 chord, which the 1 chord being the A7, that gives us an A minor pentatonic in all of its positions. I've got a 12-bar blues using those chords already played into my looper, and if I play an A minor pentatonic over that 12-bar blues chord sequence, A7, D7 and E7 chords, it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3. And that's a sound that most of us are pretty familiar with. The problem comes when people start trying to use the major pentatonic. What you're going to do if you're going to play the major pentatonic is play the major pentatonic of each chord. So over the A7 chord, play the A major pentatonic. Over the D7 chord, play the D major pentatonic. And over the E7 chord, play the E major pentatonic. There's a very good reason why you can't use just the A major pentatonic over everything, and we'll come to that in a moment. But basically, with those three major pentatonics, the major pentatonic of each chord, you can continue just weaving in and out of our old friend the A minor pentatonic. So you're mixing four different pentatonic scales, two at any one time. A minor pentatonic plus A major pentatonic, A minor pentatonic plus D major pentatonic, A minor pentatonic plus E major pentatonic. And if you do that, it'll sound like this. 2, 3. And that's also hopefully a very familiar sound. If that feels a little bit complex, mixing all of those different pentatonic scales together, don't worry, there's a simpler way that you can look at it, which we'll be covering later. But let's have a look at why you run into problems if you just try, using in the same way as you use the A minor pentatonic over the whole thing. If you use the A major pentatonic over the whole thing, it starts to sound a little bit sour in a couple of places, like this. 2, 3. And it wasn't completely horrible, but there were a couple of places where mainly this note, this C sharp, which I was playing here, and up there as the top end of that bend, was starting to cause one or two wrinkles in what was going on. And that's because that C sharp is going to clash with the C note in the D7 chord. It was when we were hitting the D7 chord that C sharp note started to sound a little bit funny and a little bit just not quite right. And as I say, it's because you're getting a semitone clash between the C sharp in the A major pentatonic and the C in the D7 chord. The next question people usually ask at that point is, well, why doesn't it sound horrible when you play the A minor pentatonic, which has the C note in it, over the A7 chord, which has the C sharp note in it? Why doesn't that, that C sharp, that C to C sharp clash sound unpleasant there? And it's because of this reason. If the note, if the lower of the two notes, the C in this case, is in the lead guitar part, then it's not going to clash with the higher note, the C sharp in the chord. What's going to happen is it's going to sound like that note in your lick, or your melody or whatever, is striving to get up towards the note it wants to resolve to. It's a source of pleasant tension, bluesy sort of tension. In fact, we often accentuate that by pulling that note slightly sharp to make it sound like it's trying to get to that C sharp note. But if the note in the lead guitar part is the higher of the two notes, the C sharp in this case, so it's the C sharp in the A major pentatonic scale, if that's in your lead guitar part and you've got the lower note, the C, in the chord, then it really does just sound unpleasant. It's not a pleasant sound at all, which is what we heard when I demonstrated the A major pentatonic over the whole thing. It's a little bit like doing string bends. If you're going to do a string bend, I notice this with students all the time, you know, when they first start doing string bends, they have to put an immense amount of effort into bending the string. And then they get the knack of it, but they don't realise their own strength, and this end up kind of way over bending. So a note that should sound like that ends up sounding like that, and you've got to kind of dial it back and think, well, just listen for the note, and they get there. It's much better when you're doing a string bend for that reason to bend slightly flat and then crawl the rest of the way up. So instead of going, see how that kind of sounds tense and then resolves, but if you go past the note and back down, it's never going to sound right. It's always, you've blown it by then. So basically, if the note in your lead guitar part is the flat of the, or the flatter or the lower of the two notes that we're talking about in that semitone clash, then it's going to work. If when you're playing the A major pentatonic, which contains the C sharp, if when you're doing that over the D7 chord, the lead guitar note is the higher of the two notes, then it's just going to sound not very pleasant. Anyway, I was talking about layering all of those pentatonics together, and I said there was a slightly easier way of thinking about it, and it is this. Okay, what you do is you just think of your A minor pentatonic. And then we're going to add two extra notes to it. We're going to add a B, there, and there, and there's the B note. And we're going to add an F sharp note, which is there and there. So that gives us that. When you add a B note and an F sharp note into an A minor pentatonic, you get something known as the A Dorian mode. And that contains a lot of the notes that we were getting by just mixing those pentatonics together. Remember, it was the A minor pentatonic plus the A major over the A7 chord, the A minor pentatonic plus the D major over the D7 chord, and the A minor pentatonic plus the E major pentatonic over the E7 chord. We get a lot of those notes there. There's a couple that we still need to add in, though. And basically what happens is over the A7 chord into that A Dorian mode, we're going to add a C sharp note. And there it is there. And over the E7 chord, we're going to add a G sharp note. People are always asking for the best way of learning where notes are on the fretboard. Find reasons to look for them and then use them, and they'll make you sound good. And you know, that's the sort of reward that makes the information kind of stay put in your head. So this is just the A Dorian mode plus a C sharp over the A7 chord and a G sharp over the E7 chord. And when you add those two notes in, when you basically take the A minor pentatonic, just dress it up a little bit and turn it into an A Dorian mode by adding the B and the F sharp, and then over those two chords add the remaining two notes, the C sharp over the A7 and the G sharp over the E7. You get exactly the same distribution of notes as you did when you were kind of layering all those different pentatonics together. And for me, it's just a simpler way of doing it, because you're thinking of one scale, that Dorian mode, plus two extra notes. You're not thinking of two pentatonics mixed together, and it's a different combination depending upon what chord you're playing over. It's just, for me, it's just a much more straightforward way of looking at it. And I'm going to play out this little explanation over the looper just by demonstrating those that Dorian mode thing with the two extra notes, C sharp over A7 and G sharp over E7, and it'll sound like this: 2, 3. And as usual, you will find the full tab for that solo that was at the beginning of the video in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing the solo, that explanation you've just seen there, and a jam track to play along with for yourself. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address and the link is in the description. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these extra bits and pieces and goodies that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive, massive thank you to everybody who supports me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are also linked down in the description. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful and informative in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like while you're at it? Don't forget, as I said earlier, the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and talk about music and guitars. What a great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. Don't forget, any questions, just ping them across to me. As I said earlier, the link is in the description for the contact form, and I look forward to hearing from you. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.